Hello, welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So today I'm going to be doing my October wrap up as well as my November TBR. So for the month of October, I read 8 books and they were all over the place, which is normal for this time of year. I'm a mood reader. So I read crime thrillers, paranormal, erotica, romance, contemporary, family drama. Yes, they're all over. So the first book I read was Without Merit by Colleen Hoover, and I did a full review of this book, so I'm not going to talk much about it, but it is a family drama that deals with mental illness. So go ahead and check out the review. I'll leave it in the description bar, and I did give it a 4-star. The next book I read is called New People by Danzy Senna, and I also did a review on this, and I will link the video below. But this is a story that deals with a biracial woman and having a bit of an identity issue, and how she navigates through it is what makes the book a bit interesting, and also gives me a love-hate relationship for this book. So I gave it a 3-star, but if you watch the video, I go in a little bit more detail why I had an issue with this book. The next book is called Sure Thing, and that's by Jenna Austin, and I read quite a few books from her. Actually, I read all her books. So this is a new release, and it's a romance novel. It's a cute story. It's one of those fluffy books that can get you through a reading slump, and I enjoyed it. It is a bit predictable, but at the same time, it's one of those stories that will make you smile and move on. The next book I read is called Dead Certain by Adam Mitzner, and this is a crime thriller. So this story follows a lawyer. She kind of had a double life where by day she's a lawyer, by night she sings. At one point she wanted to be a singer, but she decided to follow after her father, who was a big time lawyer and well known. So she is living her double life, and then her sister is missing. Later find out her sister was killed, but prior to that her sister gave her a book which she thought was a fiction, but it turned out that it was not a fiction. It is depicting of her sister's life. So in the book she has to figure out who actually killed her sister. It is a good story, but unfortunately, like a lot of crime mystery, I often figure out who the killer is, and I did early on in this book. However, I was more intrigued by the lawyer and prosecutor information. So in the book, you learn a lot of detail about how prosecutor and defense choose to do their job. She is one of those lawyers that used to be a prosecutor, and now she's a defense lawyer. She's working for her father, so she knows the mindset of what a prosecutor look for, and as well as what a defense lawyer look for. So in her ability to kind of live in both worlds, she provided a lot of information that I found was intriguing, and I find myself more interested in that than I did actually the killer, because I kind of knew who the killer was early on. So I love the story for that part of it, but unfortunately, again, because I figured out the killer early, that part was just kind of like whatever. So anyway, I gave it a 3-star. So my favorite book of the month was Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sword. Love this book. This was a 5-star for me. I'm definitely going to do a full review, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it is a good story that deals with survival and belief, and holding on to belief to survive, and trusting people to survive, and also doing things that are in pretty much are awful to survive, but you have to, and in this story you learn about the strength of a young girl who is a share, and she's had the ability to experience other people's pain as well as their pleasure. And when you're living in a world where everything is falling apart, there's disease, there's killing, there's people behaving like animals, and you have to feel their pain regardless if it's done to survive or it's done because they're animals now. It's interesting, and sometimes it was sad, and sometimes I was very intrigued. But of course, Octavia Butler's writing is amazing, and I'm definitely going to do a full review on this. The next book I read was called Pierced by the Sun by Laura Esquivel, and this one I thought was very interesting. It was very poetic. It deals with a police officer who is a recovering drug and alcohol abuser, and she witnessed the death of a very notable public official in the community, and also she had an embarrassing moment that was captured. So all her colleague and as far as and everybody in the community knew about it. So she was embarrassed, and of course that embarrassment led to her relapsing, and which was at a bad timing because she needed to find out what really happened and who killed the politician. However, her demon was too much for her to deal with at the time, and she was basically she was drawn in by a group of people who were native to the country, which is that area of Mexico. The story is taking place in Mexico, and I love that part where it was very tradition was incorporated in the story. You learn a lot about how they feel about the land and their spirituality, and I thought that was really really nice, and it was a way to me for her to get back back on the right track and fight the demons that she was fighting. And I was more interested in that than actually like who killed the politician. I literally, after a while, I didn't care about that part. I just was so interested in the spiritual aspect of the culture, and I'm just that kind of person. I love reading about different culture and tribal stuff. So, and the last two books I read were by the same author, Penelope Bloom. I'm not familiar with her, but she's seems like she's a lot of erotica and a romance novel, and these two are erotica, and I love erotica. But there's certain kind of erotica that I like. I like more of the funny, light, not going towards the dark, and these two are the opposite. One was pretty much a more of a insta love, unrealistic but cute, and that was Knocked Up by the Dome. And the story basically, two people being irresponsible, a baby came out of it, they lost contact with each other, didn't even know each other's last name to even look up each other, and in the midst of that, life went on. So the woman ended up with a child, and for the 3 years he was actually looking for her, and he did eventually find her, but he didn't know that he had a child, and eventually they were rekindling their romance, and he still didn't know because she was just gonna have a good time until she finally decided to tell him, and he's all like happy about it, yada yada yada. They get married. Yes, it's that kind of fluffy book. The next one, however, was a little dark, where sex was a drug. They both were dealing with serious issues. One was a little bit more over the top than the other, and sex was their way of dealing with it, their way of making themselves feel good. So I struggle with that one because I don't like the dark part when it comes to erotica. It's if it gets too dark, I tend to like not really into it. And this is one of those books that was dark. It's an interesting story, but it was a bit dark for me. And that's it. So for the month of November, I'm going to continue reading The Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman, and I'm loving this book so far. These were magic. These are people supposed to be witch, and it's another generation of 3 kids, and now they're at that age where they're realizing that they have powers. They don't know much about their family, but they're curious and they want to know, and that's what I'm getting so far from this. I also want to read 2 nonfiction to go with the November nonfiction month. I'm probably not going to read but 2 nonfiction. Everything else is going to be fiction, and that is Gabrielle Sidibe. This is Just My Face, and then Gabrielle Union, We're going to need more wine. And I thought those 2 books will be a good book to read for the month as far as nonfiction goes. There's going to be a few other books I'm reading because, again, November, December, I have a lot of free time. So I tend to read a lot during this time of the year. And that's it. But So all the books that I'm going to be talking about today. Also, if you have not seen my one of my vlog that I did, which is actually the only vlog I did this month, which is I finally did it my birthday weekend. Please check it out. I had a bucket list moment. I'm still riding on a high from that video, and I would love for you to go check it out. And that's it. If you've read any of these books or you plan on reading any of these books, let me know. Leave a comment and have a good day. Bye.